Hello everybody, we just launched Flight Intelligence. SkySchedule now uses AI to analyze flight data and track metrics across your entire flight school, and I'm going to show you how it works in this video. Awesome, so I'm going to kick things off by navigating over to the schedule here, and you can see that I have a reservation. I also want to highlight on a couple little user experience things that we've really improved on. One of those things being the new weather widget that we just added. So in here, you will be able to see a little glance at VFR, partly cloudy, the wind, and the current temperature, as well as the decoded METAR information right here. Now, before I try to complete this flight, I'm going to navigate over to progress, and then I'm going to go to settings. We're going to highlight progress here in a second, but I just am going to toggle on Ask Instructor for a summary post-flight. We also just unveiled our partnership with FlightSense, which is going to sync the debriefs into these past flights, which I'll show you in a moment. But I'm going to go back to my schedule and then click on this reservation. Another really cool thing we just added is the ability to start the Hobbs time before the flight. So instead of having to take a picture of the Hobbs start or the TAC before the flight, you can actually go in on your phone and start the Hobbs time. So I'm going to say 223. I'm going to save the time, and then when I go to complete the flight, those times are going to be set in there automatically. Another cool thing is we now integrate with multiple different calendars. If you use Google Calendar, Apple, or Outlook, you can actually go into your settings and set your preferred calendar. So if I go to add this to my calendar and then click on this, I will be able to open my event here and it will add it to my Apple Calendar. So when I was driving the other day, I had a bunch of these kind of in here for testing purposes, and when I was driving on my Apple CarPlay, it showed my whole schedule. I thought it was a pretty nice touch to have if you're driving to the airport in the morning, just to be able to see all that stuff at a glance. But now what I'm going to do is actually go in and complete this flight. So I'm going to say that we flew from KCNO to KCNO. We did 2 landings. The end time was 223. And then in the summary right here, this is going to want to be kind of an in-depth summary if you are asking your instructors to do this. For this example, I'm just going to say that we flew the pattern. Now I'm going to go ahead and complete that flight. Now, before I get into progress, I'm actually going to go over and navigate to flights and see that reservation. I'm going to click on it, and then it's going to load the ADS-B data. Another cool thing we added is the satellite view, so you can now go in and click satellite. We also just 3D rendered this map, so things like mountains and stuff are actually going to appear 3D. So another thing we're working on, which hopefully we can get released in the next week or two, is actually seeing the altitude data. So you'll be able to see takeoff and approach and all of the altitude stuff in there. Another really cool button down here is Add to ForeFlight. So if I click on this, I can select a GPX format or CSV, which if I click on one of these, I'll be able to upload this to ForeFlight and log it. Now I'm going to go back and then navigate over to progress. I'm going to navigate over to that student that just flew, and I'll be able to see this reservation right here. I'm going to click the drop down, and then as you can see here is the summary. We flew the pattern and did turns. I'm going to go over to this button right here, Analyze Flight, and what this is going to do is the LLM is going to read the lat-long data of the flight and give us an analysis just as fast as it did right there. A number of things that are going to help this analysis be more accurate and in-depth is if you have a longer instructor summary, it's going to read that, as well as if you have the FlightSense debrief, it's going to read that and figure out what actually happened on that flight. But right here you can see what they flew, path and turns, what they worked on, and then the flight type you can see was pattern work, as well as that map is overlaid right here, which I can go full screen and see all of this information right here. So now you can track everything that students are doing. Instructors can go back and look at this with their students. So now I'm going to navigate over to reports to show you another feature that we just released is the intelligence report. So at the end of the month, you are going to get an AI report that is going to track every single metric you can imagine. Every single data input is going to be analyzed by this LLM, and it's going to give you a full-blown analysis across the board for everything. Revenue generated, invoices sent, flight hours, what instructor is performing the best, what student is performing the best, how many leads did you get, how's the aircraft utilization, absolutely everything you can think of. It's going to look at things like weather. If it says, you know, in San Diego it rained, let's say 5 times this month, so that's maybe why the flights were a little bit down. It was super windy. I'm going to give you actionable recommendations and just a full-blown analysis. And this account that we have here is basically for testing purposes, so the data isn't even that good. And you can see it gave us a very in-depth report on the flight school. So we can do a number of different things with this. We can turn it into a PDF, or we can forward it to somebody, and it's going to save all of your reports for every single month. Moving on, just to highlight on another cool feature inside of maintenance, if you go to inspections, you'll be able to see when your 50 and 100 hour is coming up. It'll give you a little notification directly to your phone to say, hey, your 50 hours coming up. Once that's done, you can reset it and it'll be back to operational. That pretty much concludes our demonstration here. I want to say thank you guys for taking the time to watch this. If you do want to book a demo, there will be a link below.